everyone. Welcome back to What the Fertility Podcast, Season 2. This is Amanda, and today we have a super exciting guest on, one I honestly never thought would be on the show, but I'm so excited he's here. I have my husband, Chris, with us.
Hello, everyone.
I'm so excited. Kat and I literally remember from our first episode, Kat and I talked to like both our husbands, Chris and Josh, like would be like, it would be so much fun if all four of us sat down and did an episode together. Well, here we are, Season 2. That has not happened. So finally convinced Chris to come on. And I'm just so excited to kind of just chat with him and hear his perspective and just all the things. So
yeah, we do need to do the four of us though.
Oh, for sure.
I need my main man Josh backing me up.
Right.
Leading me in the trenches out here.
Yeah, it's just you this time. So sorry. But no, I'm excited just to, I mean, of course we have, our women on the show all the time, and our husbands go through it too. It's not just, a lot of the times it's usually like the women that's going through the procedures and the surgeries or the, transfers and all the things, but the husbands go through it too.
Yeah.
And so I think it's good to hear your side of it.
Yeah, I'll do the best I can representing the men out there. But you're right. It's something that I feel like it's perceived that it's just the woman, right? The woman that goes through everything, that goes through the medication, the shots, etc. Physically, but also mentally, the men may not have to go through those things, but mentally, we battle with it, just as much as you all do as well.
For sure. Just different.
Yeah, it's just different.
And I feel like it's probably like an extra layer too, because like you're also trying to be strong for your like significant other, that it's like two sides to it,
Yeah, we always want to make sure that, you all are always our first priority. We want to make sure that you're okay, or as good as you can be, right? We want to support you as best as we can. So we kind of not ignore our feelings and our thoughts, but we definitely take a back seat to making sure our women are okay.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, I'm not trying to make a blanket statement. Like obviously every couple is different, every individual is different. So like if this does not look like it is in your house, like it's totally fine. Every relationship is different.
I would say it's the majority though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's probably true. Well, I put on Instagram like a little poll to have like our audience ask us questions. Obviously, if you guys have listened to our show before, you're familiar with Chris and I's story. We did embryo adoption, and we have our sweet boy Benjamin, who is 18 months.
Buddy.
Literally crazy how he's so big now. It's insane. I feel like we like just had him. It's so crazy. But yeah, so we adopted 3 embryos. And we have our miracle boy, and we have 2 in the freezer, as I like to say. And yeah, we're planning to do another transfer next year. So God willing, we will have another baby in the mix.
God willing, yes.
But yeah, so obviously, like I said, if you know us, we've done embryo adoption. If you are new and haven't listened before, welcome. And I just kind of wanted to like talk about how we even decided on embryo adoption and kind of like Chris's thoughts on it. Because I kind of took the lead on it, I would say, as I did with like a lot of the IVF stuff. I just kind of like dove head in.
I think that's the planner in you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I literally had like everything planned out and like called every single doctor in Charlotte, but it's fine. So yeah, like how we decided on embryo adoption and just kind of your side of it. I'm curious to like hear it.
Yeah, I kind of remember that day when we first got notified through the couple on Facebook. It was just surreal. Never in my wildest dreams did I think something like that would happen. And I think we were just so lucky, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but we were contacted shortly after we even heard about embryo adoption.
Literally. So yeah, like if you guys don't know, I do have a whole episode on embryo adoption. So like you could always click back and listen to it first, just to kind of give you just some like history about everything, like our story. But super short, like version. I posted on Instagram, like I joined this Facebook, or not Instagram, on Facebook. I joined this Facebook group and I was just like, hey, I just learned about embryo adoption. Like, I don't really understand what it is exactly. I don't know what it is, but I want to learn about it. Like, I'm really interested. My husband and I just like, here's some facts about us. Super simple. And literally within like days, we got a message on Facebook from this woman. And it literally happened all so fast. And we got 3 embryos from her, which is so crazy. Freaking Facebook, shout out. But yeah. So I remember literally like I was in the car and I got the message and I was like, is this real life? Like, is this true? And I like screenshot it, I sent it to you because I don't think you were home with me.
No, I think I may have been working or something.
But yeah, I sent it to you and you were like, wait, is this real? Like, is this, we're not getting like catfished, right? So crazy. But yeah, I want to hear like, I know obviously you were like all about it.
Oh yeah,
from the
for
get-go.
sure. And it's one of those things where you've done so much research on it already. You already knew, all of our options, outside of embryo adoption, including embryo adoption, you knew all of the options available to us anyway. So I trusted you, and I know you kind of pulled the trigger on it pretty quickly.
I think I literally messaged her back within like 20 minutes and it was like 100%. But let's do like an interview, a call, or
yeah, absolutely. But that's just the nature of infertility, is sometimes you have to make very, very quick decisions and you just kind of got to live with it, trust your gut and just go with it. So I'm glad that you did, obviously.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And I mean, not in my wildest dreams did I ever think we would, have our son basically through Facebook. But I mean, it's just the whole thing is just so crazy and we're so grateful. So yeah, embryo adoption for us is obviously the best thing ever. And if you're like just hearing about embryo adoption, I know a lot of people don't even know about it. It's so cool. Science is literally insane how you can carry like a baby that genetically isn't yours. It's insane. Like, it's wild. But yeah, we're just so excited. But basically, the biggest question I think I always get is surrounding embryo adoption is like why we decided embryo adoption versus like using an egg donor, because I was the one, like my eggs, I have low AMH, diminished ovarian reserve, like I have the egg issue, and obviously your sperm was totally good, came back flying colors. So
I was a little nervous.
As I think most men are. I mean, it's like an awkward situation anyway. Like, you go into this room and it's like weird.
Yeah, just a little bit. But yeah, I remember us talking about it earlier on when we were kind of exploring our options, talking about IVF, talking about donors, best possible outcome for us. And, I think we were both on the same page, fortunately, about it was either going to be both of us, right? Or none of us, or neither of us.
Like, in terms of like biologically, it's either going to be you and I.
Yeah,
completely. Exactly. Or neither
your
of
eggs,
us.
my sperm, or neither.
Yeah.
And I was fine with it. And I think we were also both at the point where, not that we couldn't be not that you're being picky, but we didn't really have.
You're like, give me a baby. I don't care where from, what it looked like, anything, just pop a baby either in me or in my lap.
Yeah, we were kind of, just going to take whatever we could get at that point.
Not that we settled for Ben.
No, definitely not. But it was just an opportunity that presented itself, and
we couldn't say no.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's like a really big discussion. It was so easy for us, but I think that could be like a really challenging conversation in a lot of couples, like in marriages, or, you don't have to be married, obviously, but just like in relationships, if you're going through this.
Absolutely. A lot of people want to, quote unquote, pass down the last name or the bloodline, right?
God, just like wasn't even a thought for us, I feel like.
Yeah, again, I think that was mainly because we were out of options, but
we were just like ready to just accept it, like right then and there. No, for sure. Okay, so one of the other questions that we got was how you supported me, like especially through our miscarriage with Shiloh and just through IVF in general, with all of our failed embryos and all the things that we went through before we went through embryo adoption. And then obviously even, going through that, like how you handled it and supported me and kind of just were a good partner through it.
Yeah, it was definitely wasn't a lot easier said than done, right? Because I was working full time. We were also kind of in the midst of IVF, right? We did get pregnant, obviously miscarried.
And COVID. We were right in COVID.
Right? So a lot of stuff was going on.
Because we literally miscarried right at the beginning of COVID, which actually
March, right?
was like a blessing that it happened during that time because you got to be home with me.
To be home, yeah.
Which was like huge.
I don't know. So I think I remember because I was in the office. Because I'll never forget. I think you called me, and I think a few days prior you had kind of started spotting, so we were already a little nervous. And I remember I was at work, and you called me and said it was happening. And I remember I had to leave work and kind of rush over to the doctor's office to meet you.
Which I don't think I ever have shared about our miscarriage. I know I've like talked about like we miscarried, but I don't think I've shared about like what happened at the doctor's office. You remember that when we went in for the scan?
The first ultrasound when we went in a little early, you're talking about?
Oh, well, that too. I mean, I feel like there was with this pregnancy, there were so many different things. So like quick story, side note, totally going on a tangent, but we went to like a clinic because I wanted to get scanned early because I just like this was before we even knew I had any issues or fertility issues or anything. After a year of trying, we got pregnant. And then we went in at like 6 weeks, I think it was.
I think it was like 7.
No, I think it was before that. I don't know, whatever weeks it was. But they told us that there was it wasn't what it was supposed to be. Like there was no heartbeat. It was not like grown as it was supposed to, right?
Yeah, no, and they were very, very blunt about it.
So I remember you were recording.
Yeah, I was,
trying to be sweet.
I was trying to
get like a really cute reaction. It's our first pregnancy. We're so excited, right? This is before, I'm like hit with all of the like doom that I am for anything now. Like I'm always convinced that's like worst case scenario. So this was like before that. And I was like, everything's great. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I remember recording and you were looking at the screen. And I know I had my phone focused on you, but I was looking at her, the tech.
Yeah.
And all I could see was kind of confusion on her face, but also I could sense that in her head, she was saying, oh no.
Like, this isn't good.
This isn't good. How do I say this to them?
Oh gosh.
So I immediately put the phone down and just kind of yeah.
So basically, just like a quick version, they told us that it was bad news and I like couldn't accept that. So I also go to like at the time I went to like a holistic, like just female doctor. And she's also like a licensed OBGYN, but she does just like all wellness for women. And so she was like, come in, let me scan you.
It was the same day.
It was the same day. We literally went from one doctor's office to the other. I didn't know this first woman. So like, I didn't know her.
We didn't know. We were kind of just trusting
what she said.
Obviously she was.
Yeah, for sure. I also will say it wasn't a vaginal. It was on my stomach she did. And usually early on, now I know this, they usually do a vaginal ultrasound, not on your stomach until farther along. Anyway, long story short, we go to my like actual doctor and instantly she was like, oh, I see everything.
Yeah. So that was, again, that's the beginning of our story, right? We didn't know what we didn't know at the time. We didn't know what our journey was going to look like. First day, right? We go in for that ultrasound and our hearts were broken. And then 2 hours, into people 2 hours later,
back up again.
Yeah, 2 hours later,
we're like so happy.
We heard the best news that we could possibly hear. And I feel like it was like that for the first couple of weeks.
It was.
Like every other week, was,
Because then I would start spotting, and then we'd go
Yeah.
in and they'd be like, oh, no, we still see a heartbeat. Everything's good. Like,
Yeah.
everything's fine. And then we go back again and they'd be like, well, actually be like a little, we're like cautiously optimistic.
so it was
No,
tough.
the worst, I think, and not to like keep going on a tangent with our miscarriage. So, like, totally warning alert if you are triggered by miscarriage or any of the above, stop listening, because this is like, I know could be really hard to hear. So, but which was like the worst experience. And I love my doctor's office. I genuinely do. It was just, I think, like a mishap and like a slip up. But I remember we went into for, I like had to go back to get checked after we already had miscarried, and went back because I was just like still bleeding, and they wanted to check that basically I had passed all of the tissue and everything. And we went in the room and she was like, are you guys just so excited?
Oh my gosh.
Like, are you just, or how are you guys feeling? Like, all chipper. And obviously we're devastated. Like, we literally are going through, we're like in the midst of grief, and just like, I mean, you guys know, like,
Yeah.
the feeling going through miscarriage.
Yeah. And looking back on it, I mean, everybody makes mistakes.
For
You
sure.
know, they see countless patients every single day, you know. Yeah, it was terrible, a terrible experience, but
No, I just
Yeah.
like, I never have shared that before on here.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, it was horrible. We had
Yeah.
to be like, yeah, I think you have the wrong room, because this isn't
Yeah. And
happy
it was
over here.
obvious that she felt terrible
Oh no, she for sure
afterwards.
did.
But yeah.
All that was a huge
Yeah.
tangent, but all of that
Yeah.
of
Coming,
how you supported
yeah,
me
getting
going
back to
through all of
the
that.
question. It's tough, right? Because you know, speaking for me, right? I can't speak for everybody. But I think a lot of men out there are kind of in the same boat. You know, we struggle as well, and kind of like what I was saying earlier, mentally and emotionally, we're going through it, you know, right alongside you or you all. But we also have a lot of other stuff going on too, like working, right? Like, unfortunately, I still got to work, right? So, you know, I had to go to work, and it was a little challenging because not that I was struggling, you know, with my work, but you know, we're going through this journey, right? We're going through the worst time of our lives, and I have to try and concentrate at work
And like
when,
put on a brave face.
yeah, and kind of what I was saying earlier is like when I say I had to work, like I had to go to work, like I had to leave you and
Yeah.
go to work.
Because since it was during COVID, I was still working in the school system at the time, but all schools were closed. So we
Yeah.
were working from home.
I wasn't yet home at that time. So
Yeah.
I remember having to leave the house and go to work was terrible. But yeah, but I knew I had, you know, we also needed the paycheck.
No, for sure.
too.
I mean, we don't have an option, obviously.
Right. So I had to support you that way, right? So I had to do everything in my power to, you know, do everything I could to focus on work while I was at work and while I was at home, you know, after work and before work, giving you 100% of my time, and support that way as well. So there's like the financial support that goes behind it, and then also the emotional support that I needed to give you as well. And that's the thing, right? And I think I speak for a lot of men out there. We will 100% of the time put our feelings aside, our struggles aside, if there's even the slightest notion that you're upset or you're not doing well or you need a hug or whatever it may be. So, but you all also have to understand we are men at the end of the day. We don't think like you guys, right? We don't wear our emotions on our sleeves, right?
Not every, I mean, I'm
Not
sure
everyone,
some
but
men
I think
do.
most men, right? You know, because I think I'm imagining the question, right? Trying to get a male's perspective on it. Somebody may have a spouse or a husband who may not, you know, they may not feel supported, but that doesn't mean that their husband or their spouse is not supporting them.
No, for sure.
You know, it's just everybody's a little different. You know, as a man, speaking for me, I'm not the same as you, right? I don't express my emotions the same as you do. I don't, you know,
Well, I just think, I mean, not keep bringing it up like our miscarriage. I'm just not like, or even just when we lost our embryos going through IVF and they came back and, they all were, all the chromosomes, like all the embryos came back abnormal. And like, I
Yeah.
remember I sobbed and I was
Yeah.
hysterical crying. And I don't think you cried. And
Well,
not saying
not that I
that,
wasn't upset.
no, but I'm
Yeah.
saying it's just, I think a prime example of just like different people
I didn't have
react
time.
to things.
I didn't have time to be upset because I wanted to take care of you.
And I think that's a huge like thing. Like I don't
Yeah.
think I ever, not that I didn't think about it, but I think like it's like a double side for you. Like you're wanting to make sure that I'm okay and you want to do everything to be there for me and like hold me and hug me and tell me you love me and we're gonna get through this and like be strong for me, but also trying to process your own emotions and your own feelings.
Yeah. I mean, there's no like magic, answer. It's just one of those things you got to take every day, one day at a time and just give your best each day.
Yeah.
It's kind of, the best piece of advice I can give, any man out there who may be in the midst of it right now. Is give yourself a little grace, and just try and go through it together. Try and be on the same page as best as you can, try and support each other as best as you can, right? It's not always just the man supporting the woman, right? Or it also can be the woman supporting the man. Some days are going to be better than others.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to do your best.
Just like meet each other exactly where you're at.
Yeah, just give.
And I think open communication, I mean, that's going to be huge. I know like sometimes people, when they're like obviously hurting or grieving, they kind of like go inward and don't want to talk about things. But I think in a marriage, especially through fertility, like a lot of marriages don't make it out.
Yeah. Communication is key. Perspective is key too, right? Like we've talked about this early on. And I think this was an early conversation that we had recently after we got married is, it's not always 50-50, right? Everybody thinks it always has to be 50-50. You do 50%, I do 50%. That's just not the case, right? Some days we're only going to have, 10% or 20% to give, but you got to make sure that whatever you have to give, you're giving 100% of that.
I love that.
So if you only have 20% to give that day, we'll make sure you're giving 100% of that 20%.
Yeah, so, that's so good.
Again, some days are going to be better than others, but you just got to give each other some grace. There's a lot of, couples out there who, like you said, don't make it. And it's uncharted waters for a lot of people. So,
well, I think especially because most of the time you do not go into marriage expecting to go through this. Like it's supposed to be an easy, fun.
We talked about it when we were dating, right? We're gonna have,
this many
3 kids, 4 kids, right? We're gonna live here. We're gonna do this, and then life happens and you get punched in the face, but you got to get up.
Yeah, it's so true.
Keep fighting.
Well, I think that kind of like goes into, we had somebody ask about like how husbands can get more involved. Which I think you kind of talked about, but
again, you can't speak for everybody. Every relationship is a little different. But you just got to make sure that the lines of communication are open and that whatever your spouse needs, right? Whether it's, support, right? Financial support, emotional support, whatever it is. I think that's the easiest way to get involved is to make sure that you're at least communicating with each other, right? What's on each other's minds and what the other needs at that time, right? Because, it's going to be different each day. Like I always tried to do my best when we were going through, IVF and all the rounds of medication. One easy way for me to get involved was for your shots, right?
Yeah, you did all of my shots for me.
Yeah.
So it became like a thing we did together. Like it wasn't just me going through it and having to do the injections like alone or to myself. It was like something like this is for our future and it's an us thing. Like it's a we thing. Like though it's happening in my body, like you still are a part of it.
Yeah. And for the women out there, if you're, your partner, your spouse, your husband, they're not as involved as you would like them to be. Again, remember, you got to give them a little leeway. You got to give them some wiggle room. Because again, it's uncharted waters. This may be the first time that they're going through it. Right. So you just gotta you know,
I mean, you can tell them.
yeah,
Like,
definitely tell them, but you also gotta, you know, maybe take a deep breath, take a step back and realize how you're telling them, right? Not saying that you would get on, give me a hard time at all. I'm just saying if you feel like you have somebody out there, if you feel like your partner or your spouse, your husband is not as involved as you would like them to be, maybe just sit down and have a honest conversation. Let them know where you're at,
mhm.
how you're struggling, what you are going through, and
And like what an ideal situation looks like for you of being like having your partner involved, like what
yeah,
that looks like. Like sometimes, especially mine, I hate to break it to you, but men can be stupid. Sorry, but
we're
you
men.
can.
We're men.
And like sometimes you really got to break it down and be like, I
Yeah.
need you to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I need this.
Yeah, it's like your Starbucks orders, right? If you tell me go get you a white chocolate mocha from Starbucks and that's all you tell me, well, you know that they're gonna ask me
Like five other
three or
questions.
four other
Do you
questions
want whipped
that,
cream?
yeah, I don't know, right? We
Yeah,
take
no,
things
it's
for what it's
true. It
worth. So
is true.
you gotta make sure that you're clearly, communicating with each other and setting the right expectations with each other.
For sure. But I also can see it from like a woman's perspective that like you, especially you're pumped up with hormones. I just know like for myself, like sometimes I don't want to have to ask. Like I want you to just like know. Like I just want you
Yeah,
to just give me what I needed or wanted already.
yeah.
But
But I think this may be, timely, but I think a lot of couples that go through this, for the most part, because everybody's a little different out there, but I think a lot of couples are not newlyweds, but they're still kind of early in their
mhm,
marriage, right? When they first start thinking about kids, right? They first start trying. Um, they may be early on in their marriage when they go through this, and you know, it's a lifelong commitment that we made to each other. We have a long time together. We're early on, so we haven't gone through many hardships, right? Or people
mhm,
may not have gone through many hardships. And again, the more hardships that you go through, unfortunately, it works like this, but the stronger you come out of them, right? As long as you go through them together and you get through them together,
mhm.
the more that you can overcome
Oh, for
later.
sure. Like I
So
think we're so much stronger now.
yeah, for sure. So something like this, right? Infertility, miscarriage, all the stuff that we're talking about, that is a very challenging task to overcome.
Yeah.
Again, uncharted waters. So you just got to give each other a little grace. To your point, maybe you're pumped up on hormones, right? The men out there just, you know, you get yelled at, you get yelled at.
Take
If you
it.
do something wrong, it is what it is. You got to pick and choose your battles sometimes.
What
You
is
know,
your family's like saying? You, what is that? Like you eat shit for family or
Yeah,
something?
eat shit for family. Yeah, excuse my French. Yeah.
So if you gotta eat shit, sorry, you
Yeah, you
gotta.
gotta do what you gotta do, right? Because again, you guys are going through a lot physically, right? The stuff that we don't have to go through, like the
Hmm.
medication, the shots, all that, right? You're literally pumping your body, or
Yeah.
you at least you did. You were pumping your body full of medication and hormones and this, that, and the third. So naturally, there's going to be some side effects to that.
No, for sure.
So just got to give them a little grace.
No, I agree. But no, I think it's just, important again, just like circling back to just the communication. I think ultimately that's what's going to be the easiest way to both be on the same page, to just be able to talk about it.
Yeah. Just got to, again, take it one day at a time. Some days are going to be better than others, but you'll get through it.
No, for sure.
If you want to get through it, you'll get through it. Just got to go through it together. Definitely not something that one person can do on their own. And it's not like one person can be all in, the other person can be half in. Like you both got to dive in and go through it together. You may not get the results that you want, but it's something that has to be done together.
It's so good. Do you have any other advice or any other points you want to talk about? I mean, like I said, you are like our first hubby on the show, and for all our, husbands out there and listeners, do you have anything else you want to talk about, share?
It's all worth it. in the end. At least, it was for us. It's not always going to be the case for everybody, but I know that, you know, even if we never had Ben and we never got those embryos, even if we were still battling through it now, I know that it would still be worth it on the back end. We would come out of it stronger than ever. And if we can get through that, we can get through anything. Side note for the, women and men, just because you're going through stuff like this, just because you're, going through these hardships doesn't mean that you can't enjoy life at the same time. Again, it's easier said than done sometimes, but you got to find your escape. For me, it was always golf.
Now it's Ben's favorite thing to do ever.
Yes, which I'm so happy about. You just got to find that escape, right? Not saying you run away from it, but you got to get away every once in a while, clear your mind. Men and women both.
Well, I think it's easy to get wrapped up into it. I mean, like literally going through IVF is like a full-time job in itself.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it absorbs our whole mind.
I'll be honest, I don't know how you did it. Like planning wise, dealing with doctors, dealing with, schedules, the medication, everything that you had to do. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how any woman goes through it.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
For sure.
But you got to find that escape. You got to get away and just try and enjoy the happy times.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like still go on the date night.
Yeah, absolutely. Still, go out with each other, right? Still have movie nights. Just because you're going through something like this doesn't mean that life stops, right? And I think for a lot of the people that struggle out there, maybe do a little reflecting. And when's the last time you went on a date night? When's the last time you took some time to yourself to go, shop or, go play golf or tennis or whatever it is you may do? You still got to do the things that you enjoy, and you still got to find that, you still got to enjoy the happy times.
So true.
Yeah. Easier said than done though.
No, yeah. But I think it's something that it's like a task that everyone can easily find at least one thing that they enjoy still, I feel like.
Yeah. You may not want to do it, right? You might be going through the thick of it, right? You might be just kind of down in the dumps. You may not want to do it, but maybe you need to.
I'm so happy you're on.
Yeah, this was fun. Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
We heard it there, everyone.
I need Josh with me.
Yeah, seriously, next time we'll hopefully have Josh and Kat on with us, and we can just all four kind of chat about life and all the things, But I'm happy you're on. I hope that you guys took something from this and share it with, your husbands or whoever in your life that is going through all of this or been through this, just from a male's perspective. Be sure to share it and let us know if you want us to do more of like couple things. But we have lots more guests coming up soon, so stay tuned. But thanks for being on, babe.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Sorry, I'm definitely a little socially awkward. Hopefully
he has a drink in his hand.
Yeah,